Hello and welcome to today's explainer. So, I was looking into why we get stuck in life's most frustrating cycles, and I stumbled across some incredibly fascinating concepts from a program called the Frequency Recode by PureHaven. Today, we're going to explore exactly how to break these stubborn loops through somatic healing and identity transformation. If you've ever felt like you're just spinning your wheels, doing all the right mindset work but still landing in the exact same place, well, you are definitely going to want to hear this. Think about it for a second. What keeps repeating in your life? Is there a certain dynamic in your relationships that just won't quit? Is it an endless cycle of burnout and stress? Or maybe it's financial ups and downs that seem to play out on a loop no matter how hard you work. Look, it is deeply exhausting to feel stuck in these repetitive cycles. You try to change, you read the self-help books, you make the grand plans, but somehow you end up right back where you started. It's so easy to feel like you're doing something wrong. But, as we're going to see today, it's actually not about your effort at all.
The source material reveals this profound truth, and it's a real paradigm shifter. It says, you don't attract what you want, you repeat what your body believes is familiar. Basically, the same old thinking literally cycles right into the same old results. Your subconscious emotional patterns create a sort of frequency signal. So even if your mind is desperately craving peace or success or a healthy relationship, if your nervous system is biologically wired to expect chaos or struggle, your body will instinctively seek out what feels familiar. It's a biological safety mechanism that, totally by accident, keeps us trapped.
Okay, here's our roadmap for this explainer. We're going to hit 4 main stops. First, the repetition trap. Next, understanding your root patterns. Then, Module 6 on internal rewiring, and finally, Module 7 on embodying change. Let's dive right into Section 1, the repetition trap. If you've been feeling stuck, it's totally normal to feel frustrated. But the absolute most crucial point here is this: you are not failing. You are simply repeating. The source material emphasizes that awareness equals interruption. Literally, just by becoming aware of your bodily states and your recurring patterns, you interrupt that automatic cycle. We really have to stop viewing our recurring challenges as a sign of personal inadequacy or a lack of willpower. It's not bad. It is merely the repetition of familiar bodily states and nervous system conditioning that just hasn't been updated yet. Moving on to Section 2, understanding your root patterns. To update our conditioning, we have to become investigators of our own lives. We have to dig in and uncover where these deeply ingrained patterns actually come from. And it turns out they are built over an entire lifetime. They often stem from childhood identity roles, the survival masks we had to wear when we were young. They come from learned behaviors, deep nervous system conditioning, and emotional memory. The text explains that this even includes inherited patterns and generational trauma. All of this combined creates your subconscious frequency broadcast. Your body literally holds on to these patterns, kind of acting like a giant radio tower, constantly broadcasting a signal that shapes what you experience in your day-to-day life. So how do we actually change the broadcast? Well, the source outlines a highly logical 3-step methodology. First, identify your pattern. Second, understand the root. And third, shift the pattern. But here is the catch. By now, you might have great awareness of your emotional world, but awareness alone doesn't actually change your life. It's just step 1. True transformation requires real nervous system safety, actual identity shifts, and daily embodiment. And that brings us to the core program we are unpacking today, the Frequency Recode. It's designed precisely to bridge that frustrating gap between just understanding your problems and actually experiencing lasting change. It is a 2-part transformation process built to shift your identity right at the root. And the source material is super clear on this. These 2 parts, Module 6 and Module 7, should absolutely be done simultaneously. The deep internal reflection and the real-world implementation have to happen hand in hand for deep integration. Both parts are completely necessary to build this bridge. Module 6 focuses on the internal rewiring. That's the behind-the-scenes work of knowing who you want to be. But Module 7, that's the embodiment, actually living it out in real life. Because as the text rightly points out, knowing who you want to be and actually living as that person are 2 completely different things. You cannot just think your way into a new life. You have to actively bridge the gap between your internal state and your external reality. All right, Section 3, Module 6, Internal Rewiring.
This is where we look at the first half of that bridge. It focuses heavily on somatic awareness, which is basically body-based awareness, and regulating your nervous system. The deep internal work begins right here. You're uncovering those hidden broadcasts and inherited signals we talked about earlier, and you're learning how to gently dissolve those childhood identity masks. And what I absolutely love about this is that the text explicitly states this is not about becoming someone else, it's about removing what was never truly you to begin with, so you can finally restore your authentic self. You also start building what they call a sacred container, which means structuring your mornings and evenings to intentionally set your daily frequency.
And it gets even more practical with daily somatic practices. You actually start treating your body as an instrument, realizing that even your posture, your breath, and how you move shape your energetic field. I mean, have you ever noticed how just sitting up straight instantly changes your mood? It's powerful. You also develop an inner compass, so you can finally tell the difference between your true intuition and just anxious overthinking. And powerfully, you start embodying the frequency of already having, shifting from desperately wanting something to actually being the version of yourself who already has it. You're actively closing the gap between your current self and your future identity.
Finally, Section 4, Module 7, Embodying Change. Now we transition from that deep internal work into an empowering external reality. In Module 7, the focus shifts entirely to embodiment. A core concept here, found in Chapter 10, is somatic visualization. We're all so used to traditional visualization, right? Just closing our eyes and painting a mental picture. But true transformation requires the physical body. Somatic visualization moves beyond just mental imagery into a real body-based practice. Your physical body actually becomes the vehicle for creating the change, rather than just your mind running the show. When you start doing this body-based work, the breakthroughs are incredible. Module 7 outlines how you literally learn to feel safe in success. This is a game changer. Have you ever achieved a goal and immediately self-sabotaged? Like, you get a big promotion at work and suddenly you're picking a silly fight with your partner? That is because your nervous system didn't feel safe holding that expansion. This module regulates our system to receive without the self-sabotage. It also marks the end of hustle and force, replacing exhausting effort with aligned action. And my absolute favorite part, leaping instead of climbing. By aligning your identity now, you can collapse timelines and step into your desired reality so much faster than you ever expected.
All of this boils down to Chapter 15's ultimate secret, the law of resonance. To get what you desire, you have to become the energetic match for it by embodying its frequency right now. It's all about holding your energy steady and grounded across all environments and relationships so that your internal frequency is a perfect match for the reality you are stepping into. But how do you know if you are holding that energy correctly? Well, Chapter 17 teaches us a brilliant reframe, viewing your world as a mirror. Instead of looking at your external life, your environment, your relationships, your finances as obstacles or punishments, you use them as direct feedback systems for your internal state. If things are chaotic on the outside, it's just a mirror showing you where your internal alignment needs a little tuning. It takes all the blame and shame right out of the equation and replaces it with pure, incredibly useful feedback. And this brings us to the ultimate, powerful thesis from the source material. It's just 3 words, but it perfectly summarizes everything we've talked about today. Not thinking, becoming. You literally cannot outthink a nervous system pattern. You can't just mentally strategize your way out of a cycle that your body's addicted to. You have to embody the change. You have to integrate the work until it is no longer something you actively do, but simply your natural way of being. So I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. Are you ready for your internal shift to become your external reality? We've seen exactly how the Frequency Recode maps out this incredible journey from deep somatic awareness to physical embodiment. The tools are there to clear the inherited signals, dissolve the masks, and regulate your nervous system. The only real question left is, are you ready to stop repeating the past and start becoming your future? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. I really hope this sparks some serious curiosity for you. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and I'll catch you next time.